Debbie, and it's about her seedlings. So Debbie sent in photos, which was really awesome. So I would encourage you all, if you have something that doesn't look right or you're not sure what to do with, sending me pictures is awesome because I can take a look. So she sends this. She says, started my seedlings under my light and my flower seeds, which are Tithonia torchlight, which is basically, for those of you who've never heard of it, it's a Mexican sunflower. They've gotten really tall and spindly. They have their true leaves. Do I transplant them into deeper soil? Do I use potting soil? How deep do I plant them? And then she says, I use compressed peat pods for planting because I have a lot of them from last year. So there isn't a lot of depth to the root system. Just not sure what to do when I replant them into another plot. Still way too cold to put them outside in a cold frame. So I will have to keep them under lights indoors for a few more weeks. Let's see. And then she says, I turn the lights on at 7 a.m. and off at 11 p.m. so they get a lot of light. So that's, what is that? That's 16 hours of light, so that's awesome. As a beginner with seedlings, I'm not too sure what to do with them now. Okay, so let's take a look at her photos. So Debbie's in Canada, and first of all, I love what she's done here. So she has her grow lamp, and she has it hanging, so she could adjust the hanging distance if she wanted to. And then she also is using books because there are some plants that are shorter than others, and so she's ensuring the plants that are in the middle pot, the clay or the kind of brownish pot, those leaves are almost all the way up to the lights, and then the tray she's propped up on a book. So that's all good news. So I dig this setup. And when I looked closely, you may not be able to tell, but when I looked closely, I zoomed in on this photo. Her plants have a nice, healthy quality to them. The taller crops have some nice, robust leaves. So good job, Debbie, on being a beginner and setting this up. It looks really good. So now let's look at the plant that she was asking about. So this is her Tithonia. Did I say that right? Yes. It was like, we always call them Mexican sungold, or sunflowers. So this is her Tithonia torchlight. And for those of you who've never seen one, this is what it looks like. And it's very beautiful. It's similar to a sunflower. And I saw this on a website, and I realized that I didn't know this about it. So perhaps best of all, the deer avoid them. Deer do not like the hairy leaves. So this might be a good crop to put up if you're having deer pressure and you don't have fencing. So I didn't know that about this plant. So let's take a look at our seedlings again. So notice how her plant, the peat pods that she's using, I think it's great that you're using these because you have them around. So I've said this on other calls before, whatever materials that you have available, if they are organic materials, I would much rather have you use them to have them go to waste. So I'm very glad that you use these. And so the peat pods are only about 1 inch deep. And when you look at this plant, look in the background and you'll see that there are some other plants that have come up and they have their little cotyledons that are sticking off right off of the peat, very low. And then these Mexican sunflowers are super tall. Now the good news is, while they are tall, they are not hyper spindly. And I should have put an image here of what really spindly plants look like. They basically can't hold themselves up at all. These have a pretty sturdy stem, so that's good news. The other thing is that sunflowers are some of the plants that oftentimes have taller stems. It happens all the time. So I would say that this is not so unusual. It's a little tall, but it's not super unusual. One of the things that may have happened, and this, if any of this resonates with you, then this may be the issue. So I noticed that you have a book underneath this tray. And what I also noticed is that if the plant was just starting out on that peat, that the distance between that peat and that light is pretty significant. It may be greater than 6 inches. So what may have happened is that when you first started these, if it was just that, oh, it's not a book, it's the game of risk, I think. How ironic. But anyway, so that game that's holding up that tray, if if that was the distance between the peat pot and the light, it might have been a little bit tall or a little bit, too high. And so they might have gotten a little bit tall from that. And I've seen that happen with my seedlings as well. Sometimes it happens that things grow at different rates, and you'll have something like an onion that grows pretty rapidly next to something that's growing slowly. And so you have to drop down the tray from the light, and it doesn't help those things that are farther away from the light. So it's possible, I'm just saying it's possible, I don't know if it's for sure, that you could have had it closer to the light and that would have helped. Nevertheless, this is a healthy plant, so consider yourself a really fabulous seed starter at this point. This is nice. This is good. They look healthy. So what I would do from here is I would transplant them and put them into something a little bit bigger. And one way to go, if you don't want to use additional money for pots, what you could do is newspaper pots. And some of these are color and some of these are black and white. It's up to you. We've talked about newspaper before. It's up to you if this seems reasonable for you or not. But I did want to show this, and a simple way to make a newspaper pot, basically you take some sort of glass or plastic bottle that's the size you want, and then you basically roll newspaper around it. And then the second step that's not shown in this series of pictures here, I grabbed these off the internet, and a little secret to make this job easier that a lot of people don't know about. Step 2, you dunk that bottom part in water, and that's going to make it easier to fold it and press it into place. So you dunk it in water, the bottom part of the newspaper, the bottom half of the newspaper. When it's moist, then you basically fold that bottom over the bottom of your bottle. And then basically with your fourth step, you flip it back over and you press the bottom into place. Now, because it's wet, it's going to press into a flat, perfect, awesome surface. If it's dry, it's a little bit, it works, but it's oftentimes not quite as tight. So that dunking in the water helps. And you want to make this wide enough to fit your peat pot inside. So you don't want to remove any of this peat pot. You want to just put this whole peat pot right into this other pot. And when you do it, you can fill with seed starting mix or potting mix. And in a couple slides, I'm going to show you a couple of different mixes that I might recommend. So hold on for just a moment and I'll show you those. And so the key here is big enough for those peat pots to go in. And then, yeah, I would plant, so when I plant my sunflowers, see where the stem starts to turn from sort of purplish to greenish? That's about where I transplant up to when I go to transplant my sunflowers. You can plant all the way up to those first true leaves if you want as well, and that'll work as well. All right, now let's see. One important note, if you are ever using these newspaper pots, what I would recommend is when you go to transplant them into the ground, so once it becomes warm enough and you go to put these out, a lot of people just leave the newspaper on and they plant the whole thing. I would not recommend this. I've had issues where the root systems, it takes a while for them to break through that newspaper. What I would prefer is to peel the newspaper from the bottom so that the root structures can spread more easily. You can keep the newspaper pot at the top just to hold, so it holds it together better for you, but then basically peel away the bottom layer where it's all, because it's basically layers and layers of newspaper, because you basically folded that newspaper up at the bottom and you've pressed it, so there's multiple layers down there for those roots to have to try to grow through. But if you peel them off, they grow through much faster. So you can plant the whole thing. It will work. It will, over time, those root systems will break through. I just recommend, if you want to make the transition faster, to peel them away.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And for more simple and practical gardening tips, subscribe to grow your own vegetables. For more tips and updates, visit gyov.org and join our growing community.